Hello, 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 Love Revolution beloveds. I am so excited about the guest that I get to have today. And she is an author. She is an amazing lady. She and I met through a mutual friend. And I am so delighted to bring her story to you and let you know all about her and how you can order her amazing book. Without any further ado, Dr. Timerman, welcome to Love Revolution.
Thank you so much for having me.
It is a delight and joy. Now, for those of you that are watching, I mean, you can see her book title behind her. If you're just listening, then we're going to also talk about it, and it's called "Why Are We Fighting? Actionable Strategies for Effective Communication." Now, Dr. Timmerman, I just need to say I love your last name. So, will you share with the audience what your full last name is, please?
My full last name is so my full name, Patricia Timerman Barbosa da Silva, or yeah, Barbosa da Silva, if I put my Brazilian accent in it, Barbosa da Silva, when I put a little touch of the English accent.
Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. I was telling her that when I saw her name in my calendar, I thought, well, I haven't that name does not visually look um um familiar to me. And so then I realized who had connected us. I was like, okay, great, 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 great. So Noemi Barras is you all have seen her Love Revolution interview, and she helps folks get booked on podcasts. And so I'm just delighted, Dr. Patricia, Dr. Timmerman, to have this time with you. So let's dig in. Tell me about the book. Why are we fighting?
What I know, right? That is such a great question.
Yes.
Um, so the reason that I named it this is because I've started noticing my personal life, and then through I'm a psychotherapist, licensed mental health counselor, and marriage and family therapist. And I've been in this arena for 13 years or so. And I've observed a lot of miscommunications or
Yes.
things that, like, sometimes you say something jokingly, but the other person takes it seriously, and that you don't know whether or not you continue joking or if now you make a serious thing out of it. And I would notice so much miscommunication happening, which hence the question, why are we fighting? When sometimes it wasn't even something to be fighting about.
Yes.
And through the pattern, I've created this theory that I call the IAP model, the intention, action, perception. Oftentimes, people's intentions are not necessarily clearly reflected always, right? Through their actions. Sometimes it is, and sometimes it is not. And intention is internal to the person doing the action.
Yes.
But perception, which is also an internal factor, is internal to the person receiving or
Yes.
observing it. The only external thing is the action itself. And
Yes.
sometimes lack of action is an action. Silence can be seen as you don't care,
Yes.
as you have no empathy,
Yes.
where sometimes silence is, I don't want to make matters worse, or I'm simply listening to make sure that I'm respecting and absorbing.
Yes.
Right? So we associate meanings to certain behaviors, certain words,
Yes.
word choices, tonality that comes from our previous experiences. We're a construct of our own experiences. The idea of actions speak louder than words, I think this is what I put in my book. Actions can only speak louder than words when their intentions are clear. There is
Wow.
this implication that all actions have a universal meaning and they don't.
That's right. That's exactly
Yeah.
right. That's exactly, oh my gosh, I could listen to you for the next 9 hours. So at Love Revolution, our mission is 8 billion people loving 8 billion people, one heart at a time.
Love
And
it.
it's through action, it's through intentionality, and hopefully it is through perception. Because if we go through the world and we think everybody hates us, then we're going to have a different reaction than if we go through the world and go, okay, you're a human and you have dignity and worth, and I'm a human and I have dignity and worth, and I just imagine you're extending that dignity and worth
Yeah.
to me in an agape sense, an unconditional sense. It's different than the brotherly love or certainly the romantic love and all the other kinds of love, but this unconditional. And so I don't know how much Noemi shared with you about me. I'm a trainer of nonviolence for the Martin Luther King Center here in Atlanta.
Oh, that's
There are only
beautiful.
14 of us in the world. And one of
Wow.
the things that we often talk about is interconnection. And I have lots of different ways that we talk about interconnection, but from here forth, In addition to those ways, I'm going to be quoting you, Dr. Timmerman, and I'm going to say it is intention, action, and perception. That's interconnectedness right there.
Yeah. It's when I was looking at miscommunication and when things would get lost in translation, oftentimes was what the intention behind one person's words sometimes would get lost in translation once it got to the other person's ears.
Yes.
I think a great example that I have, this was a couple that I saw, I mean, years ago when I was still like studying and understanding and putting the IAP together. And they were doing couples, and it was their first session. And now this is a heterosexual couple. The wife was born here, but had like Latin family, so spoke Spanish. The husband was born in a Spanish-speaking country and spoke English upon moving here later in life, right? So one of the statements he said is, "This is a sacrifice I'm willing to make."
Mhm.
Now, I understood the intentionality being positive, but the word sacrifice had a negative connotation when once it hits his wife's ears,
Uh-huh.
right? And to her it was, well, if this is a sacrifice to you, then we shouldn't be doing this. This is an investment to me. And that's what he kind of meant, but he used a different word.
Yeah.
And because I'm in session, I'm the Google Translate. Right. That's
Uh-huh.
why I say the
Uh-huh.
IAP serves as like a Google Translate. You learn to speak the language of whomever you're talking to
Yeah.
by understanding, looking past the action and trying to understand or inquire about the intentionality, right?
Yes.
So as the Google translating session, I'm able to see by their facial expressions, like one's face is like so light and
Uh-huh.
yes, I'm here, and that the other person's face becomes very frustrated and angered. And so you see that transition happening, being able to catch it in the middle. And it's like, no, no, no. That was what was your intentionality? How was it received?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, let's bridge the
Yes.
gap.
Beautiful. That's just it's so beautiful and so powerful. And also, when I talk about in my own personal coaching with leading with love, I have the grit blueprint, and the R is responsibility. So what is and is not our responsibility, and it's very, very important. Like if we're a business owner, it's important that we delegate, but don't abdicate. And it's very, very important that we are responsible for the things we're responsible for, and that we are not responsible for the things we're not responsible
Yes.
for. And so, how do you do IAP without trying to manipulate the P?
Ooh, I love that. It's funny in one of these strategies that I have, and I call it the preamble. There are two functions, and I'll speak upon the secondary function of the preamble, which is to tell you the intention behind what I'm gonna say before I say it, right? So let's say that, I don't know, we got in an argument because there's something that you said something that I disliked. If I just tell you what I disliked, you may like
Mm-hmm.
get frustrated. But if I go to you and I do the preamble with the intentionality, which is, hey, I've noticed something that has stayed with me. And whenever we talk about the subject, I get triggered. And because I don't want there to be resentment in our relationship, I want to be able to express this to you. You
Yeah.
don't need to do anything. Right now, you know the intention behind that. But with that said, in the book, and this was based on a podcast I had done with somebody, and I'm like, okay, what you said is really important. So right before putting the book to publish, I added that this is not a green card for you to be mean to people,
Correct. Correct.
right?
Correct.
Both of us, though, everybody within the communication needs to be acting in good faith.
Yes.
So if my preamble of my intention is, hey, I want to be mean to you, then be mean, right? But your intention has to be
Yes.
what you are actually setting it up to be.
Yes. Yes. But
Yeah.
it's not our responsibility to manipulate their
No,
response or their how
no.
they're perceiving it, which is such a fine line because really the important piece for each one of us is to show up with intention because there's so many things we do without intention. To show up with intention, to have actions that are aligned with our intentions, and then that's where it stops because
Yeah.
their perception is on them.
Yeah, I mean, a recent example just yesterday. So it's Rosh Hashanah, and I went
Yes,
to
happy Rosh Hashanah.
thank you. And I went to my family's house, and my sister asked me to arrive earlier. Now, I working out is something that I need for my mental health, my physical health, but it is my boundary. And because she was frustrated, there were things happening, And she said, just come now. So I just went. I said, hey, can I go to do I have time to go to just come now? So I didn't go to the gym. And when I got there was nothing for me to do. And so I got frustrated. And
Mhm.
I'm like, I could have gone to the gym, right? That's my boundary with self. She's not aware as to the importance
Yeah.
of working out for me and the boundary that like I only not work out for somebody else
Yes.
if I as an exception.
Yes.
But at the same time, she said like there were so many things happening in the household when you called that I didn't even think about it. I just had just come over because I thought there would be so much more to do. And so at the end, like one of the things that I told her is you cannot know what you don't know. And
Yeah.
so I am sorry for having expressed it to you in that way that you feel like I'm making you feel guilty for it. Because you know what? Like, it's a boundary with myself. I should just have gone to the gym and come later.
Yeah.
And then she at the same time said, hey, I also apologize because I thought like there was so much
Yes.
happening that
Yeah.
my anxiety got projected and vice versa.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's understanding through the IAP a lot, which is what I love, is I understand my part of the role that I played. She understood the role that she played, and we end up
Beautiful.
apologizing for the behaviors that we took.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. That is such a powerful example. Such a powerful, powerful example. Because it could have set you off on a different trajectory with, well, I'll never come early if she ever asks me again, or, or I will never, never, never not miss the gym. Well, sometimes we do need to, and so it's these all or never things. And I'm thinking about all the different ways for IEP, even with even like with kindergartners, why are we fighting? Why are we, just
Yeah.
to say, okay, well, this, and this was said, but was that the intent behind it, or was that that's really, really powerful. And we all do this when we have really strong, healthy relationships. I think we all do this naturally without really thinking about it. Because I'm thinking about, my mister and I have been married 14 years, and there are things that he has said to me that I will say to him, I just need you to know that what I heard you say is this. I don't think that's what you intended. Is that right, sweetie? And he'll be like, "Oh my gosh,
I love
I
that.
did not." And so like we're always kind of doing it anyway, but to lean into it, I think it's so powerful.
But I love because what you just named is essentially reflecting, right? I didn't create reflecting. Reflecting is a strategy that we use, but the science behind reflecting is repeating back what you said and what I understood from what you said and giving you the opportunity to say you heard me correctly
Yes.
or no, you didn't. I
Yes.
meant something else, right?
Yes.
And I love that a lot because it requires us to listen and not to already be responding before I'm actually listening to what's being said.
Right.
I think the main thing that the IAP does is it curbs assumptions,
Yes.
right? It requires clarification.
Yes.
One of the first strategies I created, which is the rule of three interpretations, and which is something happened. There are facts that are um, unwaivable, right? But then there are assumptions or a narrative that put those facts together.
Yeah.
Um, So, for example, the silence, when I talked about, let's say that I message somebody and they don't message me back, my immediate response can be they don't care about me or they're mad at me,
Yeah.
right? At
Yeah.
that moment is when I ask us to pause and identify two other possibilities for the
Yes.
same fact, which is just the person has not messaged me back. So
Yes.
if I do worst case scenario for balance sake, best case scenario. So they are planning me a surprise party. I don't know. And
Yeah.
then a likely case scenario, like they
Yeah.
are asleep or their phone is on silent, and once they see it, they will message me back.
Yeah.
But that pause is really important because if not, our assumptions sound so good in our minds
Yeah.
that then they become facts, even though they are not facts.
That's right. That's right. That's right. When you were earlier, you were talking about silence because my mouth can get me in trouble really quickly. And as a trainer for nonviolence, as a nonviolence practitioner, as someone who wants to be love centered, I don't I don't like it when my words get ahead of me. But sometimes they come out. So there have been times I've been silent with my husband. I mean, obviously, I'm not giving him the silent treatment for days or anything like that. However, there have been times that he is far more ready in a moment to continue a conversation where I know that if I continue that conversation, it is not going to go well because I need the silence to regroup and shift my perspective. And so that could also be a meaning of silence. Again,
Yeah.
not silent treatment, not, refusing, but just to say, I need some time.
But I appreciate that statement, right? It's not just the action. I am giving you the meaning behind the action.
Mhm.
Because just the action itself is subject to
That's true.
interpretation. But to be able to say,
True.
hey, this is what this represents, like I'm going to be non-responsive. If I'm
Yes.
messaging with you back and forth, and then all of a sudden I am like,
Yes.
not responding. But if I let you know, hey, I'm going to be non-responsive for the next like 9 hours because I'm really tuned in.
Yeah.
Now you know, so you don't need to go through all the assumptions that are going through your head. So when you let your husband know, hey, I don't want to talk about, like, I need to process.
Yes.
Or for me, like, I'm very politically impassioned. And so I've learned, especially in the political sphere that we're in now, that sometimes I needed, if I didn't feel safe in a certain space, I could go from 0 to 100. And so I said, you know what?
Mhm.
I want to not have these conversations because I don't know yet how to control my passion.
Yes.
I've become much better at it today, doing a lot of reflecting, repeating back, trying to understand the person's intentionality, and then being able to also ask to be heard as much as I hear. But there was a time that I would say, hey, I cannot control how, I guess passion is the only word that I can come up with.
Yes.
My responses will be,
Yeah.
and to make sure that you still love me by the end of this conversation. I think it
Right.
is best for us not to have this conversation now and maybe down the road,
Yeah.
right? So then they understand by they, like whomever I'm talking to, the meaning behind my behavior.
Yes, 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 yes. So in effect, like what you just said and what I just said, like the part about with my mister, then in effect I am doing the IA of the
You,
IAP because
you
I'm
are.
telling him, okay. So I guess
Yeah.
that's something because I was thinking, how can I incorporate this better in my personal life? And then, I certainly am going to be sharing it. I think you are absolutely brilliant, just absolutely brilliant.
Oh, you're so good for my ego. Oh no, but I'm loving the conversation with you. And as you said, you 100% are like there, and there are things. This is the really cool thing about the IAP is that they are not that hard to practice. It's just being more intentional about them, becoming more aware of it. With awareness comes action. So the more I do it, like I've trained myself to do things differently, even with respect to speaking politics. I've gotten so much better now
Yeah.
at pausing, at
Yes.
listening, and not reacting, but
Yes.
instead responding.
Yes.
We train ourselves, but they are easy things. Now, you mentioned about like my mouth can get me in trouble. So there are two things that have come to mind. One is just like an anxiety thing that I work with. And when I tell my clients, or even for myself, sometimes our brain goes so fast.
Mhm.
And the more animated we get, the faster it goes. And the more we try to have the pace of our mouth meet the pace of our mind. And that's when we don't pay attention to the words that are coming out. And then after the fact, we're like, "Oop, oh, I should not have said that."
Yes.
If we are able to do the other way around and give each word its due space, to
Mhm.
intentionally speak slower, to have the pace of our mind meet the pace of our mouth
Mhm.
instead of the other way around, there is time from the moment that the words are coming from down here up, like to go out, you get to identify what purpose will it serve and sometimes hold it back,
Yeah.
right? When we animate
I could
ourselves, it
even
gets really
feel
difficult.
like I could just feel even my nervous system just now at what you were just saying. I could just feel myself. Like that's such a calm.
Yeah, yeah. Is de-animating ourselves.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing that I have, which I call the three columns of communication. Column one is venting, right? Say what you need to say, just not to the intended person. For the love of goodness, do not. Right? The venting is filled with tangents, it's unfiltered, is diluted. There's so much in it that if I am venting to the intended person, the message itself will get lost. And
Mhm.
then we'll start fighting about other things, especially because I may get interrupted, may say the wrong word.
Mhm.
Um, Once you've vented, and you can do it through journaling, but use your senses, right? Say it out loud so you can hear yourself. They are fact checkers.
Mhm.
You can differentiate between what is a data and
Mhm.
what is my narrative putting the data together, but I don't
Yes.
really know.
Yes.
Through journaling, videoing yourself, or anything like that, but you can do that. Once you've identified the venting, now you go to column 2, which is deciphering the message,
Mm.
right? What is it that I want the intended person to receive? What is the message? What purpose will it serve? What's my expectation in return? Once you know that, now you go into the third and most important delivery method.
Mm.
Knowing my person, knowing your mister,
Mm.
what is the best way that he gets
Yes.
information? Being it through analogies, being it somebody who prefers to read it over hearing it.
Yes.
What is the best method? And if I don't have one, we fall into the I statement, and I go over the do's and don'ts of the I statement in the book.
Excellent, 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 excellent. I just find you so delightful and truly, truly brilliant. And I love that you've put words and flesh around some concepts that have been kind of floating around, but that are really, really so concrete. So, how can folks get in touch with you and how can folks get the book?
You can get the book on Amazon.
Okay.
Just check out Why Are We Fighting? And you can get in touch with me if you go to my website is www.advocatetocreate.com, and the 2 is the number 2. I truly believe in advocacy.
Love it.
When you advocate for yourself, you create change, hence the name Advocate to Create. Again, the number 2. And there you can see information if you want to book speaking engagements, consultations, direct therapy. I work with another amazing therapist, Michelle Hart, who's part of the team. So that's how you can get in touch with us.
Wonderful, 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 wonderful. Love Revolution, beloveds. This has been an amazing conversation. And as all of them are, this one was especially powerful. And so reach out to Dr. T and let her know about how you are using IAP. Get her book and grab some time with her and figure out how you can help her get her message out into the world. And until next time, beloveds, thank y'all. Bye bye.